guys? Welcome to another episode of Ball Now. I'm your host Sean Robinson. I'm co-host here, Grant Rhodes. Special guest today, Nate Tapp.
Let's
And
go.
today we got good news for you guys. Gonna continue to give you guys the updates on the bubble life. Seen a lot of pictures about that and heard a lot about that. Also gonna give you guys an update on some players that have decided to sit out. Some teams that have recently signed some new players, which will be interesting to see what they can do in Orlando. Um, and yeah, just basically, and a little preview of the season, preseason, and the regular season that's supposed to be in a couple weeks here. With the bubble life, since all the teams have gone to Orlando now, started practicing, most of them as well. Grant, you saw, your Lakers practicing. I saw the Clippers
Yes,
practicing
sir.
with other teams. Luka throwing some trick shots up there too. So that's pretty cool.
Did you see the one where he kicked it in with his foot?
Oh yeah, yeah, that was
Kicked that in.
That was cool. Then he had one off the ceiling too. And I was like, dang, Luka might surprise us. To be honest with you, Luka might come out and
him and Porzingis could do some damage.
Yeah,
for sure.
Porzingis, yeah.
And Tim Hardaway, and they got what's they got?
Steph Curry, Boban.
Yeah, bro, Boban.
That team is not a bad team right there. They got some players.
Yeah.
And they're like the 7th seed right now too. So that's cause some noise for your Clippers team right there, Sean.
Oh yeah, if the Clippers match up with them in the playoffs,
it's not a first round matchup I want. I'll tell you that much. After all this break off,
I'm not worried. Luka and Porzingis, that's it. We got Kawhi, Paul George, Lou Williams. The whole team, basically 2 starting lineups. Come on now, on the bench
all right.
Come on. But yeah,
I saw Zion was out there. Pelicans were out there. Man.
Yeah, Zion throwing some windmill dunks down. Saw Ja. I'm just excited to see guys out playing hooping again. Really get into it. As we see, cases are surging in Florida, though. I hope that everything goes well. And
hopefully the players know to stay inside because we're trying to watch these games.
I think they will. I think it's been so long that I think they will want to try to play and try to take all the safety precautions that's supposed to take. So hopefully everyone would stay safe and stuff like that. We've seen guys playing cornhole, fishing and stuff like that. So see Ben Simmons throw it in the water.
He couldn't even get it in the water, bro. He couldn't even get it in the water.
Ben Simmons, what a guy. Some players, just chilling back in their room. You guys all saw the J.R. Smith at G Live, him complaining.
Oh, yeah.
On that, he was talking about the menu and all that stuff. I saw his. It was interesting.
Yeah, those were get a little insight of what's going on there.
Yeah, I saw a video of the players' lounge. They got like 2K set up in there. They got ping pong. They got all these game systems set up there. So they're just gonna be chilling there for a while.
Honestly, like Adam Silver has gone through like all these, precautionary measures, and he's been setting this up for months on end, and the players have basically anything they want there for the most part, it seems like, and they'll be there for a good while, but I think they'll have a good time already, catching fish, playing video games.
For sure.
What more could you ask for?
Yeah, I think they'll be fine. Plus you get your families. I think they can come in September if the teams can stay. So families can come a little bit, which be, maybe they won't come because you're only confined in that little bubble or whatever. But from what I've seen, players aren't so far. I know people complain about the meals and stuff like that, but some players have been like, oh, it's good. I know DeMar Carroll. All the guys were like, this home cooking. I don't know what y'all talking about.
Yeah.
This is good.
But I saw Kuzma. He said, he's been in Flint, so he's seen.
Yeah, I saw that.
Me too. I'm from Flint. I'm good. I've seen those.
Yeah, so honestly, it sounds like the players are, settling in, and I think everything will be good for them, to be honest.
Yeah, they got to get.
Sure.
I mean, that too. I mean, they're going to be in there for a couple months, especially if you expect to make a long title run, stuff like that, long playoff run. You're going to be in there for a while, so you better get used to it. I see it as, little college life, basically.
Yeah, for real. They all in like little dorms, pretty much.
We went through, man, freshman year. Memories back right there, bro.
They all go into practice at the same time. They walking together everywhere.
Going up
So I
on a
also did
recliner.
hear. I also heard. Don't they get like a free pass to go into like the parks and ride all the rides, like after
Yeah.
hours? I think.
I did hear that.
Yeah,
Which
so
would
I
be
mean,
pretty
like,
cool, too.
they got a nice. I got it.
I mean, if I was in Disneyland,
Yeah,
I
I
would
saw
be.
they opened Disney World though. They opened that, so I don't know if they don't want any of the players getting sick from regular public people, bro.
Yeah, the public bringing down the NBA.
Yeah, that's not what we want.
That'd be worse than Rudy Gobert bringing it down.
That'd be the
Defensive
worst.
player of the year.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about recent players that have decided to sit out. No, we've been talking about Bradley Beal. Recently said he's going to sit out. The injury, he's going to deal with that. Victor Oladipo as well. Both of those guys are going to sit out with the injury. Start with the Pacers, Victor Oladipo. What do you guys see? Let's start with you, Nate. What do you see about that? Is that big, huge loss impact for them?
I mean, he was injured for the majority of the regular season before it shut down. He came back. Definitely a big piece in their team, no doubt. But, I mean, they got Sabonis. They got Malcolm Brogdon running the point still. So they got Miles Turner playing. So I think they'll still be okay. I don't know how far they'll make it, but they could definitely upset some teams that think that it's going to be an easy win for sure.
I mean, yeah, honestly, I would agree 100% with you, Nate. I mean, just players like you said, Victor Oladipo has been, injured basically kind of more the whole season, so we really haven't seen him back in action for a good while now. But like you said, they got T.J. Warren, Sabonis, Aaron Holiday, Malcolm Brogdon, some players that can play, Jeremy Lamb.
Yeah.
So I can see him actually, upsetting someone maybe in the first round and, maybe making a little bit of noise, but. I mean, really past that, I don't see him going too far past that, with Victor Oladipo being out with their main person. But, I mean, I don't see them, going out easy. I'll tell you that much.
I mean, they got to play Philly. They got to play Washington, Orlando, Phoenix, LA, Miami, Houston, and then Miami again. So if they could pull off a win against Miami or even Washington or Phoenix like that, like they'd be sitting pretty good.
I currently sit at that 5th seed, 39-26 is the record. So, if they stay there during the regular season, after the regular season playoffs, they face the Heat, which that would be a good matchup, without Victor Oladipo. And then that Heat team, surprised everyone this year. Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, Kendrick Nunn. So, I mean, that would be a pretty good first-round matchup for the Pacers. So then move on to Bradley Beal, who – isn't playing due to another injury. Wizards, they were one of the teams that got invited. They were 5 games within the 8th spot. They are at 24-40 at that 9 spot right now. You guys see them making the playoffs or nah? It's over.
I mean, I don't really see it. Grant, you can.
Honestly, I mean, they're done. It's over. Like Bradley Beal was kind of their one hope. I mean, you saw even when Bradley Beal dropped 50, I mean, they were still losing, teams that were, not even, teams like the Lakers, Bucks, some teams think like that. So, I mean, this team is,
I just think Orlando or Indiana could beat them out.
I mean, the East is not, a powerhouse conference by any means, but I mean, the Wizards don't have anyone else. I mean, it was Bradley Beal and John Wall, and fortunately, John Wall, couldn't walk down the stairs, and Bradley Beal, decided that he's going to sit out. So, it's definitely a little tough, but I don't think they have the star power to pull off any upsets or, I mean, I frankly even make the playoffs.
Yeah, I know, Graham. We had talked about that, a couple weeks ago.
What you think?
Wizards, they're sitting out, or if Bradley Beal sits out, will they be able to make it if he doesn't sit out? Because the Nets, they are struggling. And if you look at the Nets now, you go to them, yeah, they don't have any starters. I mean, none of their starters are playing.
Spencer Dinwiddie's sitting out too.
Yeah, Dinwiddie,
Is
Kyrie,
Karis LeVert
KD.
playing?
Karis
Karis
LeVert is
LeVert,
playing,
yeah,
yeah.
I haven't heard
Okay.
anything. Yeah, I think he's
I
playing.
mean,
So he's about the only
is
one.
DeAndre Jordan gonna play?
No, he tested positive.
I
And,
think they
yeah.
got Jared Allen though at center. I mean, they don't have a bad backup center there.
That's
Yeah,
not a bad.
I also they could pull off an upset against a team like Boston or even like Sacramento or Portland like that, but I don't think they're gonna do anything in the playoffs next year for sure. When KD and Kyrie are back, no doubt. But right now, their team they're looking ahead.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Next year will be a whole different story. But now they got their Orlando team, as many people have called it, signed Jamal Crawford. Now he's the oldest guy in the league. I mean, but he's a bucket.
That's gonna be interesting to see. If Jamal drops like 40 or 50 in a game, that'd be dope to see.
That would be awesome.
I think he will. I think he will. I honestly think he will. I mean, his last game last year, he dropped 51.
Just give him
I
like
think he could do it.
35 minutes. Give him like 30 minutes in the game.
I definitely think he
Might
could
as
do it.
well.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of the better players. I mean, honestly, I think it took way too long for someone to sign him. I mean, he's been one of the better players like in this league even. Like I think he could start on some teams, some of the
Oh, for
worst
sure.
teams out there. So, I mean, I'm not saying like the Cavs, they could definitely use someone, So
Yeah, good veteran.
I mean, yeah, seeing him back in this, and especially with no practices, no NBA really for so long, like being a veteran in the NBA and kind of knowing like what to do in these situations. He could bring that to a younger team such as the Nets, and and experience something like this that none of them have ever gone through anything like this.
For sure.
Along with Jamal Crawford, they signed Michael
Sure.
Beasley, which I mean is another vet. I mean Michael Beasley, he's a little bit of a bucket getter, but not really. Not as skilled as Jamal Crawford is. But I mean, this team is coming along a little bit. I mean, you still got Karis LeVert,
And if
Joe Harris, Jared Allen. And you add those two guys. I mean, it's a little something that could keep you in the playoffs at least. Obviously, I don't expect them to make a long playoff run this year. But, I mean, to keep you in that playoff spot, for sure, that's a good team.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so now let's go on to maybe brought up the players that are going to sit out. So go on to the schedule. Let's look at give a little preview for the schedule. Before we get into that, though, I want to take you guys' takes. Who's your favorite to win it all? Grant, I kind of already know yours. You got the Lakers. I got the Clippers. But Nate, who's your favorite to win it all this
year? I mean, I'm repping Detroit, but sadly they're not going to be in the playoffs this year. So next year, Blake got to healthy up. D Rose.
Maybe
right now, I'm gonna have to go with LeBron. LeBron and the Lakers.
Yes,
like they just signed J.R. Smith. Dwight Howard's gonna play. We still got Caruso, the GOAT.
Yes, sir.
I just think they got too many pieces on that team. Like it's gonna be Western Conference, Clippers, Lakers, but I just think LeBron's he's on a different level this time. I know you've seen him in quarantine. I haven't seen Kawhi, but
no one's seen Kawhi. I mean, I didn't even know he was
no one see Kawhi.
late traveling with the team until somebody tweeted about it. I mean, like you don't know about Kawhi until he shows up on the court. So I mean,
yeah, for real.
Well, I see what you got.
I'm gonna have to give it to the Lakers. But on the Eastern Conference side, I'm gonna have to go either with the Celtics or the Bucks or the Raptors, because don't sleep on the champs.
Interesting.
I think Giannis definitely has a good shot. I mean, everyone's playing for their team. Chris Middleton's a dog. Dante DiVincenzo can hit buckets.
So I don't think any of the Bucks players are sitting
No.
out.
They
I
got
think they got
the
their full
they
squad
got the
heading out.
Lopez brothers. So I mean, it's gonna be really interesting
Got
to
Kyle
see.
Korver out there who can
Kyle Korver,
maybe strap a 3 or 2, in his
Mhm.
old age.
for sure.
I see. Yeah, I could see actually my Eastern Conference Finals. I got Bucks and Celtics. I've been looking at it lately, and that Celtics team, if Jason Tatum that
That's
can
exactly
do
what I
what he
got.
did before the season
Mhm.
ended, and that's scary. Like, at his age, and they got Kemba, and they got Jalen Brown, Marcus
Mhm.
Smart. That would be a good Eastern Conference matchup.
For
Celtics
sure.
and
For
Bucks.
sure. For sure.
The only
I
thing
also think
I'll keep going, Nate. Keep going.
I think the 76ers too, like even though there's questions with Embiid and Simmons, like they could for sure knock off a team like Boston or uh, heck, they could even
When
knock
you
off
think about it, they were
Toronto
what, like a couple bounces away from possibly going
to the
to the finals.
finals.
I
Finals
mean, that's
last
how close this team was, and they're talking
year.
about
Yeah.
blowing the team up already. So again, yeah, the Sixers I think are very interesting. I mean, I still think, in my personal opinion, I think they need more shooters if they were to develop that
Yeah,
team.
Tobias
Maybe
Harris really is the only reliable.
I mean, he's a knockdown shooter, but other than that, I mean, Ben Simmons has made 1 3 in his entire career. Joel Embiid's not going to be a
Nah,
knockdown 3 point shooter. It's not, you don't have to be worried about that. So I feel like if they were to get more pieces around them, I mean, that's a dangerous team. Ben Simmons working on his jump shot a little bit, developing that. I mean, his passing skills are phenomenal for himself, and he's what 6'10" point guard. Like that would be perfectly ideal for that team.
He can't shoot though. That's the thing. He can't shoot. He's terrible at shooting. So I mean, I
No,
I have
he's
to go. I don't really
absolutely
see the
awful.
Sixers doing anything just because of like they don't really have any shooters. The only guys they got are Josh Richardson and Tobias Harris. I mean, and Joel Embiid, he was kind of falling off after before the suspension and everything. And Ben Simmons is Ben Simmons. I think, especially if they go against the Bucks, that's easy like sweep. Like there's no way they're gonna get past them. The Raptors, I mean them too.
I mean they got Al Horford too, so. But I do think that team needs to figure out their offense.
Yeah, absolutely.
You got to choose between Simmons or Embiid on who's going to have the ball late situation, late game.
Yeah,
I would agree with that. I mean, and even going back to what I was going to say before with the Celtics, right now, not Kyrie, geez, Kemba Walker, his shoulder is actually like it's been bothering him. They said the Celtics said basically they were going to be very, very, or not playing at all. So if the Celtics were to go in with not 100% Kyrie, 100% Kemba Walker, then I mean I definitely have to take another look at that team because I mean Kemba's a very focal point with that team already in his first year, and I mean Kemba's one of the clutcher players in the league. So if he's not there and taking that last shot, I don't know. I think it's going to be very interesting.
You got to watch out for that step back.
Oof, it's nasty.
Kemba will get
cardiac
you.
cardiac Kemba shot.
Cardiac Kemba.
I,
Yeah.
I
He'll get
mean,
you
he's only been in the playoffs one time, right? So I mean, this is good for him
one time.
to be in that
I
playoff
mean,
For
atmosphere.
sure.
exactly.
That Boston team is scary. And if they
That's
bring up Taco Fall, they could put Taco Fall in late game.
It's an interesting. I mean, the Celtics have set themselves up, in my personal opinion, to be very, very successful.
For sure.
They're still a youngerish team. They're still developing into like their roles and such, I believe. But give that team some time and chemistry, and I think they could be a very dangerous team.
Oh yeah, they definitely could be dangerous. I mean, I'd watch out for them. If not this year, they make a run in the next couple of years. I mean, because I'm pretty sure they still have good draft picks and stuff like that. So the next couple of years, I mean, they really the only improvement they need is a big man. If they get another dominant big man, develop Taco Fall, that
Mhm.
Celtics team could be maybe the
Mhm.
Celtics can go back to their Larry Bird glory days. I mean, who knows?
Oh, for sure. They got an MVP in the making in Tatum right now. I mean,
Honestly, I mean that
the
kid.
way that he just keeps getting better and how easily he can score now. They're definitely gonna be in the top for the next couple of years.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, and they got they still got Gordon Hayward too. Which I
Hmm.
mean, he fell off a little bit after his injury, but he's definitely making a comeback. So that'd be interesting to see. You have three wing players, two young ones, and Gordon Hayward, a veteran, that can really develop that team, plus a young Kemba. Scary. That is scary. I definitely see them going to the Eastern Conference Finals this year.
I mean, in my personal opinion, I think it's really between the Bucks and Celtics in that division. I mean,
Hmm.
those teams are just. I mean, this, as we said, everything with the Celtics and I mean the
Hmm.
Bucks with Giannis and Chris Middleton. Like, I mean, that is a solid duo right there, and plus all the other guys that have around them, which very solid pieces.
And I'm looking at their schedule, and the only team that I can really see them losing to is Milwaukee or like Miami or something like that, or Toronto. But every other team, I just think Boston is way better than.
And Boston is definitely good. I mean, you just said their schedule, so I mean, they could definitely go in the regular season, end the regular season, and definitely stay at that 3 seed. That when going into the playoffs. Let's bring up another. We talked about stay in the East. The Bucks, their regular season games. I mean, you pretty much. I mean, those should be all wins basically. Not really hard for them. I don't really see them, struggling in the regular season. You see them staying as that 1 seed, or Raptors, can they come up and maybe do a little something?
Yeah, their first two games against Boston and the Rockets is really going to be their test. After that, they got a pretty easy schedule. So
I mean, yeah,
Dallas will
honestly,
also be interesting.
I mean that Celtics team. That's probably gonna be the toughest team they play right there.
Hmm.
Because I mean, the Rockets, I think they match up better against that
Yeah.
team. I mean, looking down, Nets,
Hmm.
Heat. I mean, maybe the Mavericks, they might give them a run, but I mean, even then, I see them winning, basically all of these games.
Oh, for sure.
I definitely Bucks, I see them. I see, honestly, like if we look at the seeding right now, I see it staying the same. Like I don't really see, yeah, the 8 game regular season maybe could do something, but I don't really see changing much. Only place I could see it changing is maybe that 6 seed, the 5 and the 6 seed between the Pacers and Sixers, because they're both tied at that 39 and 26. But other than that,
Hmm.
I don't really see anything changing much, because you look at the Sixers schedule. I mean, not that bad. They got the Pacers, Spurs, Wizards, Magic, Trailblazers, Suns, Raptors, and Rockets. So not really that difficult for them. But I mean, as we said before, they don't really have depth, that one, or shooters. So that's where I see them struggling a little bit.
Yeah, they have to rely on players like Korkmaz and Josh Richardson, and just not someone you would typically think to rely on that team when they could just go to Embiid, but Embiid's not always consistent.
Yeah, I mean, man put up 0 last year in the playoff game, so you never know what
Hmm.
Yeah,
Embiid's gonna get you. He's a dominant force. I'm just not a big fan of Embiid. I mean, he shows up some days and then doesn't show up some days, so you
I
never
mean, yeah,
know.
he's very, very inconsistent. I mean, like looking at Joel Embiid, and like he looks like he'd be the type of guy that's putting up, easily 20-10 numbers, and I
Hmm.
mean, he should be consistent with that. But just we see some of these games, like you said, the 0 points in the playoffs. Like you can't, say you're one of the best centers in the league, and then drop a goose egg like that. And we've seen him, play, underperform, time after time too, in big moments. So
Uh, uh, we'll see. So then let's go. The 8 seed, the Magic. I do you see them? Obviously, we see them. We talked about the Nets and the Wizards, so obviously see them making that last playoff. Um, but I mean, right now they are seated at that 8 spot, so they're gonna play the Bucks at that 1 seed. I mean, obviously, is that a sweep or maybe could the Magic do something? Because last year the Magic were the 7th seed against the Raptors, 2 seed, and they won
They
game
stole,
one.
they stole a game.
Yeah, they won game
Mhm.
one, and then Raptors finished them out in 5. But Magic got the Nets, Kings, Pacers, Raptors, Sixers, Celtics, Nets, and the Pelicans. So I don't really I see them maybe doing good in the regular season, but in the playoffs I don't really see them having that playoff guy, that they can go to. They got Vucevic, they got Aaron Gordon, but other
Mhm.
than that, I mean, they don't really have anybody.
Mhm. I think they have to rely a lot on Vucevic, uh, Evan Fournier, Aaron Gordon. I think Markel Fultz could potentially help them out at the start with the seeding games, but in the playoff first round.
I mean, yeah, I would agree. I mean, the Magic they don't have that star power like some of the other teams do, and you compare the regular season to the playoff games, and they're totally different. There's the atmosphere is different. It's everything about it is different, and
Uh-huh.
you
It's
know
gonna be
I
interesting though. The no fans, they got no fans watching them, so
That
maybe,
is going to be
maybe,
interesting.
maybe
I
the
mean, for a
Magic will
lot of
turn up,
players,
and they're in Orlando, so they got the home court. They got the home court advantage, really. Like they got the home court every single game, every single time they're there.
that's true.
that is true. That is
So
very true.
maybe they'll get some. Maybe they will have some magic and do something. But
Maybe these ain't the Magic Shaq and Penny days. I don't know about all that, but they
Markel
might be able
Fultz
to
and
pull.
Mobamba, the new Shaq and Penny.
Only if Marco Fultz had a consistent jump shot, like Penny Hardaway. Maybe. If Mo Bamba was as dominant as Shaq, I just maybe, but no, there's no way. There's no way.
We'll see.
So
We'll see.
let's go over to the Western Conference. I know we gave our Eastern Conference finals matchup, what we want to see. What about the Western Conference? Obviously, Lakers Clippers is what I would like to see, but what do you guys see as the Western Conference finals?
The Western Conference, I think it really is wrapped up between the Lakers and the Clippers, but I can definitely see Dallas doing something, and the Nuggets, even Houston, maybe even the Pelicans with Zion. Maybe they sneak past the first round and play against someone.
I mean,
Do you think the Pelicans are gonna go to the Western
West
Conference
is so
Finals?
interesting. I mean, you just look at this.
Well, are they the
conference,
eight? No, not the Western Conference Finals,
they're the 10th seed right now.
but
They're like 3.5 games back from the 8th spot.
it's true. If they get that 8th spot, they'd probably have to play LA, which would be tough, but they could definitely sneak a game against them with Zion. I mean,
Dude, Zion's looking big, man.
he's looking unstoppable right now.
I mean, I saw some of the practice footage from him, and I mean, he looked like he was getting buckets easily on all those guys. Like,
Mhm.
he is a freaking beast inside. It's insane what this kid can do.
Yeah. Not just turned 20. Just turned 20 years old.
Oh yeah,
by the
younger
way.
than I am. Younger than I am. Like, jeez.
That's crazy, dude. That is insane. Like as big as he is, I mean, he's my age. Like man, it's just like dunking all over the place, and it's insane, man.
Yeah, Sean, where are these 360 dunks from you, man? Yeah, where are these at?
only if I had Zion's muscle, height, maybe you might be able to see it on the court, but no, you ain't catching that from me anytime soon. I wish. I wish. Maybe on like a
Oh,
5-foot hoop,
man,
I
that'd
can
be
do a little
awesome.
something, but not like a regular hoop.
Oh, for sure. The mini hoops.
And
Yeah,
the
mini
little Tykes
hoops.
hoop.
Yeah, like the mini
For
hoops.
sure.
Play in the house. I could definitely do a 360 dunk like that. But like in a regular backcourt, nah. To do a 360 layup, I can do that. 360 dunk. No. So let's actually go
But
on.
I
I
mean,
talked about Western Conference, those last teams, because there's more teams in there. You got the Suns, Kings, Spurs, Blazers, and the Pelicans. Um, Obviously, a lot of people want Zion to make the playoffs. I'm saying a lot of people, as in the NBA, because they gave him the easiest schedule. Um, but the Grizzlies are currently at that eighth spot. You see them staying at that eighth spot, or do you guys think it's going to be another team? Nate, let's start with you.
The Grizzlies, John Morant, Jaren Jackson, deadly combo, but they got to play Portland. They got to play San Antonio, New Orleans, Utah, OKC, Toronto, Boston, and Milwaukee. And that the bottom half of their schedule, Toronto, Boston, Milwaukee, I think are going to be tough games for them. And what you said, the Pelicans having such an easy schedule, I think they'll probably fall out of the playoffs. But they definitely got a bright future with Ja Morant. He's a dog.
So you say
the
Grizzlies
Grizzlies
are gonna fall out. What do you
I
have
think
replacing?
so. I
Who's
think the
gonna take that?
Pelicans will make that A spot.
The Pelicans, okay.
Yeah, I think the Pelicans will sneak in.
All right. Grant, what's your take on this?
It's very interesting. We look at the Grizzlies' first, 3 games in this bubble season. It's Trailblazers, Spurs, and Pelicans. And right there, those are basically every team that's fighting for that 8 spot, just about right there. So really, I think if they could win against, Portland, Spurs, and the Pelicans, I think right there, if they win those 3 games, they get in. I think they could honestly lose the rest of their games too.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think definitely that New Orleans game's gonna have a real big impact because I don't see. The Trailblazers would be interesting, and Dame would be doing everything he could, get them to that 8 spot. Personally, I think it's gonna be down to Trailblazers and the Grizzlies. I'd love to see the Pelicans, but those first 3 games with basically the 8 through 11 seed battling it out, it's going to be very, very intense and definitely going to shape up the standings right there just with those teams.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, I agree with that. Each game, right? Each regular season game, especially for that, those last 5 teams, are going to be fought out. Those guys are going to be playing 100%, because they're trying to fight for the 8th spot and to go to that playing game, which would be interesting too. I kind of hope that we have that, a playing game. It means the 9 seed, they have to be within 5 games, I believe, to play against the 8th seed for a playing game, see who goes to the playoffs. 9 seed has to win 2 games. 8th seed just has to win 1 game. So that'll be pretty interesting to see. I think, that would even add more hype to the playoffs because, you had to play to earn that spot. So that would be pretty interesting. I think that'll definitely happen in the West. East, not so much, but West, definitely for sure. And, I see either the Grizzlies or the Blazers taking that 8th spot. Grizzlies, I like John Morant. I like Jaren Jackson, where they're headed. You got Dylan Brooks. They got Jonas Valanciunas. They got a solid team. But, that Blazers team, if you saw, Dame Lillard last year in the playoffs, man is something different. Took his team all the way to the Western Conference Finals. It was just him. It was C.J. McCollum, Zach Collins. And those guys are all going to be coming back healthy and well to Orlando. So
and they got Nurkic.
And they have Nurkic.
Too, is that who they got?
Hassan Whiteside too.
It's a very dangerous team right there.
Yeah, with them all back, they could definitely make a run.
I think they will. I think they'll definitely make a run.
For sure.
Especially with teams missing players.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, their schedule, Grizzlies, Celtics, Rockets, Nuggets, Clippers, Sixers. So, they don't really have an easy game. They got some pretty good, matchups. Obviously, they play the Clippers, Grizzlies, find the 8th spot, Celtics, Rockets. So, they're playing all playoff teams, which would be good to see. So, I just like Dame Dollar, what he did last year. He tore up the whole OKC organization. Who knows? Maybe he could do it again to another team, just tear their whole team up.
Sign
Buzzer
your
beater.
boy Paul George to the Clippers.
Yeah. San Paul George Clippers. I mean, I ain't complaining, man. Damian Lillard, man. I mean, 2K21 cover athlete too. Man is man is good. He'll probably drop a mixtape too while he's in Florida. Just chilling. Probably drop one. Probably
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I
Lou
heard he was
Williams.
DJing.
He brought his studio stuff, so I think he's gonna probably be dropping a mixtape too. I mean, people just gonna be sending that
Okay.
They
bubble
about to be
board.
they about to be dropping they about to be dropping some tracks.
Who knows? Maybe
Yeah, Lou
Brown.
Williams is gonna have a lot of time, at the end of this.
Oh,
Have a lot of free time on his hands.
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah. I mean, you only got practice. That's it, and then games. So
Yeah.
you just chilling. You can't be, multiple teams or trying to do
Honestly,
social
yeah.
distancing and stuff like that. So you're gonna have a lot of downtime. So I ain't complaining. These players that are
Exactly.
saying like, oh, I want to do this or stuff like that. Like this is bad. Like, bro, you're playing basketball and just chilling. Like you don't gotta do anything. You don't gotta fly out.
Yeah.
You don't gotta do nothing. Like you're all in one spot, one location, just chilling, playing games.
You don't even gotta make food. You get food sent
Yeah,
to
I
you.
know. Yeah, you don't even gotta make food, man. You don't even gotta make food. Like, come on. You don't even. I mean,
Yeah.
laundry is about the most you gotta do. You don't even gotta do dishes or nothing. Laundry
Yeah.
about the most. Other than that,
You think they're doing their own laundry? They ain't got time for that. They hiring someone else.
I probably won't do their own laundry. Nah, Brown won't do his own laundry. He'll probably,
Oh,
have
sir.
some
Of
mate.
He's
Brown,
wearing his fit
I'll give
once
you a
and
tip.
throwing it away.
course.
Nah, he ain't doing laundry, bro. I also saw it's pretty interesting. They hired barbers in the bubble. I don't know if you guys saw that, but they have barbers that just like they're gonna be working just in the bubble. So I thought
Yeah, I
that's
saw
pretty
that.
cool too. Like they're gonna have
Huh.
their own barbers in the
I
bubble.
didn't see that.
Like they be a little fresh. I mean, they literally don't have to do
Wow.
anything. I don't gotta do nothing at all. I mean, which is pretty cool. So
Kuzma about to have another weird hairstyle, bro, when he comes back.
Man.
yeah, Kuzma,
Kuzma
who
about to
knows
have
what it'll look
something,
like.
some blonde, blue, green.
Kuzma's
He- he-
coming back with dreads, bro.
he's gonna be the next Dennis Rodman.
Jeez.
Brown's gonna be looking like Kimbo Slice in a couple weeks.
Both sliced. Yes,
Yeah,
sir,
Kimbo.
man. Yeah, I
Yes,
love it.
sir.
I love seeing the gray in his beard, man. I hope he keeps it.
Dude, I'm not
Hey,
gonna.
what do you guys think about what do you guys think about the Thunder and the Jazz and teams that are kind of in the middle?
Sean, you want to go first on this one, or?
Yeah, I'll go ahead. That Thunder team actually, I like. They're another team that proved all the doubters wrong. Just like the Heat in the East, everybody doubted OKC and said they're not going to be good, because traded Russell Westbrook, they traded Paul George, they got old Chris Paul, old washed up Chris Paul, and they got two young prospects, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Danilo Gallinari. But I mean, this team has made some noise. Looking good.
For sure.
They're a solid team. I
Sitting
mean,
nice at the 5th seed.
yeah, it's not that.
I mean, they're tied right now with Houston, but with Steven Adams and Gallinari and even Dennis Schroeder
Oh yeah,
and Chris Paul,
yeah.
they could.
I like that team. That team's pretty sad. I mean, I
They
definitely didn't see them make the playoffs. I
they have a
said
real good
maybe
mix
they'll.
of veterans and rookies.
Jared, what do you think about OKC?
I mean, honestly, I agree with everything you guys were saying. I mean, even before the season, I can call myself one of the doubters. I didn't think that team was going to go anywhere, and
Oh yeah,
I thought with Chris Paul being like the main guy, and that was basically it. I didn't think they'd stand much of a fighting chance, but I've been proven wrong clearly, and it's been actually pretty exciting to watch this team, basically come out of nowhere. It seems like for most people, and going into this playoff bubble, and like I said, with having a veteran like Chris Paul, be the push the guy is help them with much better for that team moving forward. Like I like their odds honestly better than the Utah Jazz, just because they have that veteranship, unlike Utah. Like they got Donovan Mitchell and the NBA killer. So
Yeah, Donovan
yeah, I
Mitchell. I
think
mean, Donovan Mitchell. He's solid. That Jazz team, they're solid, but I'll take that OKC team honestly, just because what I've seen from the season.
Mhm.
Jazz. I haven't heard anything about Joe Ingles. Have you guys heard anything about Joe Ingles? Because I know he was on the fence.
I remember at like the very
Uh,
beginning, he was like, "I would, I'm happy with walking away from basketball, like forever," is what he said. I haven't heard
uh,
anything since, so I'm
Yeah.
not
So I mean, if they don't have him, that's a key loss. I mean, they got who? Mike Conley? Don't they? Yeah, they got Mike Conley. Maybe he'll come out and do something.
Bogdanovich.
Donovan
Or
Mitchell.
no, they don't. They got Bogdanovich, right? One of them.
Yeah, Bogdanovich. Yeah. So, and Rudy Gobert, the NBA reigning defensive player of the league. Literally, he did lock down the league.
knock down everybody, bro.
Did lock down everybody. So I mean,
Yeah,
uh,
I don't know how their team chemistry is gonna be after that. How they're
yeah.
gonna how they're gonna act around each other.
A lot
So
of people have said, they don't know how it's gonna be, but they've came out and said it's gonna be fine. They're fine. Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert said, they're just gonna work past it. They're trying to get to the goal of winning the championship, which realistically they're not gonna win a championship. Not now. I mean, not this season. So,
nah, I
um,
don't think so.
I both those teams are solid, but take OKC if they play in the playoffs to win that series.
Oh,
Chris
for
Paul's
sure.
got that veteran leadership. They got those young guys. I mean, Nate, you mentioned Dennis Schroeder, Steven Adams. So I'll definitely take, OKC over Utah.
Yeah, I would agree.
Mhm.
Sir. Um, Also mentioning, well, we mentioned OKC and the Jazz. What do you guys think about the Rockets? I know we mentioned them a little bit earlier. That small ball stuff like that. You think that's gonna go far or nah?
I think the duo James Harden and Russell Westbrook is good for sure, but with them shipping out Clint Capella and them not really having a true center, I definitely think it's going to be tough when they go against teams like the Bucks or the Clippers or the Lakers, where they got big guys in the paint. Um, they're definitely going to score a lot of points. That's no doubt, but I just think their defense isn't going to be able to keep up with Harden and Westbrook's scoring abilities.
Yeah,
But I definitely think they could win a playoff series.
really.
Yeah, I think if they go up, what are they? The fourth seed right now?
Yeah.
Where
Sixth
they're at
seed?
right now, going against the
Sixth
Nuggets,
seed?
or I don't
I
know.
mean, they could definitely if they go when they go against the Nuggets, they could definitely do something, but I don't think they'll make it past second round.
I
Okay,
mean,
that's interesting.
Not. I just don't think they have enough pieces around
Yeah,
them.
Grant, what are you gonna say?
I would basically agree. I mean, this team is definitely very interesting. When you hear James Harden and Russell Westbrook like on the same team, it's definitely like very intriguing, very eye opening. But like you said, when they run up against a team like the Lakers or Clippers or even like the Nuggets with the big man that
Or the Jazz.
I
Like,
mean, yeah, honestly, I mean, even like especially if they were to go against like the Nuggets, Jokic is such a great passer too that I mean that Rockets team would be in trouble, frankly. And
mhm.
I don't see him getting past a team that's got a decent solid big man in the NBA because I mean they're just frankly I think it's too small of a lineup to really work in a playoff atmosphere like this.
Yeah, their smallest, their biggest guy is you go. I mean, you can decide between PJ Tucker and Robert Covington. And those are the two biggest guys on the court. I mean, Russell Westbrook, yeah, we know the boards and stuff like that, but like you guys said, when you're dealing with those big men, big center, it's Anthony Davis, Jokic, Steven Adams, Porzingis, that's going to be a little tougher challenge for them.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's easier for them to spread the floor, obviously go 4 out in. They can obviously run that, but they're gonna have to make their threes. And we saw last season, they didn't really make a lot of threes. They missed like the playoff record or something like that. So, you know,
It's
we'll
19
have to
straight,
see what
like
they
or
can
something
do.
like that. 27 straight.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, we'll have to see, what they can do. It'll be interesting. I could see them dropping to the 7th seed. Um, just because the Mavericks, I think they could do something. Look at the Rockets schedule. You
Mhm.
got Mavs, Bucks, Trailblazers, Lakers, Kings, Spurs, Pacers, and the Sixers. So not too bad of
It's a tough schedule.
yeah, it's a tough schedule, not really
Other
easy.
other than other than the Spurs and Indiana, but like Indiana, you got Sabonis, you got Miles Turner. Portland's got big men. It's got big men. They all got just too many big guys that I don't think Houston's gonna be able to guard.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
think they match up well. And I mean, like you said, they'll get points offensively. Like their offense is designed for them to score a lot. But when you talk about carrying it out through the whole game, like the Rockets have been very inconsistent shooting threes, and frankly, like their whole system is kind of iso ball. So if that one player is not having the best of games, I mean, they're basically shooting themselves in the foot right there.
yeah. That's why I said, I see them 7
Mhm.
seed. Mavs schedule Mavs or the Rockets, Suns, Kings, Clippers, Bucks, Jazz, Trailblazers, and Suns. So the Mavericks have a little bit easier schedule than the Rockets. So I can see the Rockets moving down to that 7th seed. Yeah, that'll be a little bit more tough for my Clippers,
Mhm.
obviously, but I still see them, winning and not being a problem. It'll be interesting to see what Mike D'Antoni and these Rockets can do. Figuring out they've had rest. I've heard stuff about James Harden losing a little bit of weight too. So I don't know. Maybe we'll see. Maybe
Mhm.
they can impress us and do something. But I don't really see this small ball. Definitely don't agree with you, Nate, right there when you said get past the first round. I think they're out of the first round. I think they're out. And that's just me, just because of that small ball. If they had one big man like they had, like
Yeah.
Clint Capella, I could see him, maybe going to the second round.
Mhm.
But that first round, unless James Harden and
Mhm.
Westbrook drop 50 each game, I don't really see.
That's true.
And James Harden, we don't know about him in the
Mhm.
playoffs. Inconsistent. Some games he shows up, and other games he doesn't show up. So I mean, it'll be interesting to see what this team can do.
Maybe it's just my bias towards James Harden since he cooks everyone he goes against. He cooked your boy Patrick Beverly, so
Oh, he took Paul George too,
oh
didn't
my
he?
god, I
Like,
made them both
oh,
fall.
oh,
Gave him the
that
cookout legs.
Okay, all right, yeah, yeah. James Harden,
Uh,
I like James Harden. I respect him. I mean,
but yeah,
man's a
you're right.
bucket. He
He
does
is he
travel all
has
the
been
time, but
he's been very inconsistent in the playoffs as of the past couple of years. So hopefully no fans, he won't be any distractions. He'll just go out there and hoop. He can actually win some games. So
it doesn't have to deal with Draymond this playoff. So maybe
nah.
he'll do something. Maybe he'll do something.
Mm-hmm.
Draymond, he always hated him. Got his eye scratched last year by Draymond. Maybe that stuff won't happen. Maybe we'll surprise us. Maybe James Harden will surprise us, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't really. I can see them either. They're not going above that 5 seed. They're either going to say it's 6 or
No.
the 7, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe they'll make it past the first round. But if they drop to that 7 seed, I definitely don't see them making it past the
No.
first round. The
Not against,
Nuggets,
no, not
maybe
against Clippers.
against Nuggets. I just see Jamal Murray, Jokic, Michael Porter Jr.,
Gary,
Gary
he
Harris,
could be a
Paul
sleeper.
Millsap. Yeah. So I
the
mean,
Nuggets team is well rounded too. That is a deep team, and they're very,
Monte Morris.
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
that team
that's a
is good.
solid team.
And Mike Malone, he's a
Mm-hmm.
pretty good coach too. That team's solid. So I mean, they can make a
Mm-hmm.
deep playoff run if you think about it. They could be able to. Um, they're sitting at that 3 seed right now. Their schedule is Heat, Thunder, Spurs, Trailblazers, Jazz, Lakers, Clippers, Raptors. So that beginning of that schedule is kind of, a little bit of a matchup, but the, bottom of the schedule is a little bit tougher. I definitely see them staying at that 3 seed, and who knows? I don't think they'll make it as they made it to the past second round last year. Almost lost in game 7. Yeah, they lost in game 7 to the Blazers.
Hmm.
Maybe they'll make it to the Western Conference Finals. Maybe, but I don't think so. Not this year. But they're definitely heading in the right direction, and the team's good. Stacked team.
Hmm.
Don't they got Bol too? Isn't Bol in this?
I don't think he in Florida, bro.
You
I
don't
don't
think
think he
so?
was the team.
I mean,
Isn't he in the G League?
no. If Bol was, traveling with them, you put him, Jokic,
True, maybe.
Michael Porter Jr., Jamal Murray, and Gary Harris all on the court at the same time. That's scary. I mean, you can put that matchup against the Nuggets or against the Rockets. Those are some easy buckets right there by Bol, and Jokic.
That's true. That's true.
That. So, I mean, yeah, NBA schedule, that's how I'm happy that NBA is coming back finally. About 2 weeks left.
Yes, I can't wait. Can't wait.
Mm-hmm. We're getting close. We're getting real close.
Yes, sir. I mean, playoffs will be right back when we all go back to school and stuff like that. So that'll be fun, exciting. Just seeing that it'll be different. Because playoffs aren't in September, October, August. It's usually just football. But see that and no fans, Nate, as you mentioned, that'll be pretty interesting to see what the players can do without the fans. Because some players they kind of depend on the fans, give them that hype and stuff like that. But other players,
for sure,
don't really need it. Like Kawhi, he doesn't need fans. Kawhi doesn't need fans. He'll still go get buckets. LeBron, I don't think he needs fans either. I don't think LeBron needs fans. Maybe on the defensive side, but the offensive side, nah.
Nah. He just gets buckets. That's all he does.
And he's just getting buckets, eighth down blocks. I mean, it's just
Year 17.
It's no big deal for him.
Year 17, yeah. I mean,
no big deal.
Definitely, maybe the MVP. He's not my MVP this year, but
you better watch out. Him and AD. AD might get that Finals MVP if they win it all.
AD is gonna get the Finals MVP.
JR.
No,
he could if they. He could. Bro.
AD over Bron.
Nah, it's gonna be Bron, but watch. AD's gonna be. AD's gonna be such a big factor for that team, bro.
Oh, definitely will. Yeah.
If he doesn't average at least 12 boards, like 25 points a game.
I think
where the Lakers really need him is defensively. Honestly, I mean he brings that. I mean he is a solid defender, and I mean I don't see him winning Defensive Player of the Year, but I mean I definitely see him up there in the conversation. You could say.
For sure.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. I haven't heard anything about what they're gonna do about the awards this year, like MVP, Defensive Player of the Year. I haven't heard anything about that, so that'll be interesting to see what they end up doing with that and handing out the awards and stuff like that. I mean, you can base it off the regular season still. I mean, they played all the way until March, and they only had like 10 games left, before it's suspended. So wasn't much going to change, those 10 games. But I mean, so that'll be interesting to see what happens there and what the league decides to do with that. All right, so that is going to conclude our episode for today. Well, hope you guys enjoyed it. Catch you guys next week.